Well, some frost coming out of the ground. She's a little bit, a little greasy on some spots.
All good, boys. Yeah, we'll take it easy, whatever.
Well, let's get up to the trailhead. Okay. Another day I'm gone.
WP6500, you're just out there fucking flying. What you eat today?
Yeah. I was just kind of seeing what kind of traction I had.
Yeah.
Well, it's good until it's not.
Which until that's exactly what I found out. Is that right?
All right.
Oh, let's see what we got.
Hey, welcome back. So this is a ride from last week, and we went down to Goshen, which is a place you're probably familiar with if you've watched my videos, and it's a place we really like because this time of the year it stays dry because it's up on a ridge for the most part, and it's fast flowy single track, which is kind of fun. And adding to the fun, it's going to be Joris, Chris, Colin, and myself out for Rip It today, and we're going to rip it pretty good. We're actually going to move along at a pretty quick pace. Chris is going to keep us moving because he just likes to keep going. He's got lots of endurance, and well, Joris is no different. And Colin's actually enjoying the day quite a bit, having some fun ripping and chasing Chris down and harassing him a bit. And me, well, this is the second ride with the WP6500s, so I'm kind of stoked to see how they do in this stuff. And a little spoiler, they do just fine. In fact, better than fine. They track really well. I'd make some adjustments to rebound and dampening a little bit for the compression, but so far I've touched nothing because I really just want to get a good baseline.
Are you good, girlie?
So like I said, Chris isn't going to let us sit around for too long. He's anxious to get going, and that's him out in front. And I said it in the last video, and I'll say it in this one because it's worth giving credit where credit is due. Chris has put some hours on that bike, probably a little over 100, probably closer to 115 or 120, I can't remember what he mentioned. But that time between the handlebars is really paying off. He is way faster than he was at the beginning of the year, way more confident, and he's still riding within his capability, but he's not afraid to try new stuff, and he certainly does hoist aboard quickly the things that people point out as far as making little changes to either set up the bike or just the way that he rides, and it's paying off in spades. So if he comes up into intermediate, and if he doesn't, I'm going to chirp the shit out of him like I said, but when he comes up into intermediate, I'm going to have a hard time fending him off. And ultimately that's really good for me because that's good motivation to have someone pushing you. And Chris will certainly push me till probably about lap 3 or 4 in any given race. And then I suspect he'll get past me because I think he has more endurance for sure. So that's where it stands right now. We'll see how the summer goes. I'll see you on the track, Chris. That's alright, a little bit of spirited competition between us over 50 types. Speaking of racing, Colin did mention on one of our rides that he might come out and race in the over 40 this year. And if Colin gets back on the bike in sort of that racing mentality and ups his fitness, which he would certainly be motivated to do if he was racing, he'll be a guy to reckon with because when he wants to be, he can be wicked fast. And given that Joris is on this ride and I don't want to leave him out, although, you know what, if he doesn't race, that'll be better for me because, man, he's solid fast too. And he's a younger guy, and, well, he's super fit. So he's got a pretty clapped out suspension on that bike, and there was no slowing him down on this ride. Alright, let's get some speed on here and see how that front end reacts. And what I'll tell you to watch for is how quickly it's coming back, so I need to slow down the rebound a little bit. And you'll also hear the back end kind of rev out a bit, which means the back tire is not staying on the ground like it should, so I might need to slow down, rebound, or do a little something there.
Blistering!
I got a big mouthful of mud.
You were blistering!
I slowed right down because I was drifting.
You gotta be careful.
That was slippery as fuck in there.
If you're wheeling the wrong way, like if you're got the brakes on, where?
Yeah, there was some sketchy shit on that
I thought
one.
I was going down on that one. I was completely 90 degrees to come to rail the berm and the back end was right around.
I was up on this guy's ass.
I know you were.
Getting ready to start chirping.
I looked
Then the ice started coming out.
and I was like, fuck this!
So it is a little bit mid-morning, I think, at this time, and the frost is coming out of the ground, so it is a bit slick, and there are still some icy patches in the shaded areas, although it's not particularly sunny today, so it is a bit greasy all around, and that's just what it is.
Oh, I lost it down there.
No. It made it fairly far.
A little playing around in the hills, but it's time to move on and get some more speed under our belts. And I'm still thinking of my old suspension on part of this, and you'll see it, because I avoid some roots rather than just plow over them, because my old suspension would have kicked me off. And as a result, I end up going off the side of the trail a little bit anyway, and Colin gets past me, and then I gotta try and make up time. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. I should have just hit it, but as it was, I eased up off the gas, and for some reason still did downshift, tried to keep going in third gear or fourth or whatever gear I was in. Also doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know what? That's the domino effect when you fuck up. We're going to come up on Chris here, and he's gotten bounced off the trail, but he's not going to let me by like he lets Colin by. In fact, he's going to go out of his way to cut me off. I see how it's going to be when we start racing there, Chris. Noted.
a wicked route, and I went right off, and I was in third. I can't get him unloaded, because so like I'm gonna take him. I seen you get right back on it again. I'm like, no, you don't. No, I know.
Alright, let's get Joris out here in front of him and let him set the pace. And he's going to set a really mean pace. And it's going to be hard to keep up to him. But I'm mostly kind of looking out across the view. I always like this view. So we came into this section here and noted that it has been cut over, which is the prerogative of the landowner, but poor old Lord Sparklesocks, who's promised to plant 2 billion trees in some sort of undefined amount of time and spend 5 billion of someone else's money to do it, all based on a promise to a child that was making fun of him, he's going to be upset. So Lord Sparklesocks, look away now. Well, the cutover does give us some things to play on, like those little log hops, but unfortunately it does obscure the trail a little bit, so we'll need to get in here and kind of remark some of this stuff. But like I said, it's the landowner's prerogative, and we're just happy that we have permission to ride here and still have riding areas open to us.
What I'm proposing is that we double back on the trails we rode.
Okay.
And where we first came out, where the windmill is. What's that?
I thought, oh, that's what you meant, going there.
Like all the way back.
Yeah.
To the very first windmill. And instead of going back on that trail, we just cut across where that first cutover was done last year.
Yeah.
And then pick up all the single track there and then get back to the trucks before the rain, which is due at 2 o'clock.
So having made my pitch and it was accepted by the council, we turn around and head back. But we've got a lot of riding in front of us, and for the purposes of this video, it's going to turn into about 5 more minutes. But in reality, we probably rode for another hour and a half, because we did make it back to the trucks and decided to go across the ways where there's some double track and do some exploring over there. Okay, this is where we came out of the trail initially, where I was spitting mud, and if we had gone straight across the road, we would have entered this stuff. And as you can tell, this stuff's been cut over too, and that happened, I think, earlier this year, probably early spring, yeah. But that's okay, the trail's still pretty clearly defined, and it hasn't been any obstacle to us for riding through here. I suspect maybe at some time we might lose some of this area, because I think they're planning to put up some more windmills.
Go ahead, man.
It's always better video when you have someone in frame, as opposed to looking out over the handlebars of my bike and watching me bounce through the trees or into the trees. So I get Colin to go out in front, Joris jumps in there, as does Chris, and that's all good because we've been riding for a while. I'm getting a little tired, so it's okay to do some sweep now. Oh, looks like Colin came in a little bit hot there and got crossed up on a log that was down across the trail, or a stick. And unfortunately I wasn't right behind him to catch that video, which is what you do for your friends. I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. When the terrain changes, you gotta adapt quickly, and sometimes I lose focus. And when we get in here in the woods where you gotta do a little bit more turning and cut the pace a little bit, I tend to lose focus a little bit. And had I kept it in here, you would have heard me talking to myself about my suspension and pontificating about what I might change or not change, and then falling behind and getting lost like Little Red Riding Hood. Alright, well, most of that is true except for the getting lost part. I just kind of fell back because I was too busy thinking about what my suspension was doing, and it kind of lost that moment of flow just because of the changing terrain and that little pause because Colin crashed, so it's Colin's fault. And I do find that's kind of the best way, is to, you know what, lay blame on other people as opposed to owning your own shit. That is actually the best way forward, and that's how you're going to become a better person and a better rider. This ride was a lot of fun. We actually went quite fast and kept a good steady pace without too many stops. And I've got, well, probably 2 hours of video, which I've reduced down to 18 minutes. And I know, Chris, you would like it to be longer and tell a long tale, but most people will not watch this stuff for more than 15 minutes. And you made me crash here, so I'm cutting it short.
I got caught in the fucking